last night I was intending to have this show what was the most unusual event, and this camera is not working anymore. There's no reason. The vaccine over here was broken, but it's connected. Like, clearly there's still electricity working for the plugs. I want to switch it out, but it happened to be on in the moment when the most anomalous, even to me, experience happened. And this little puppy right here, he got so scared he ran towards me. So I've been sleeping here on the ground because I'm an animal with my dog who can't walk right now still. So this curtain flapped open like this, right? Which is not the most common thing. I mean, it's so light, but it like flapped open and like stuck to the wall. And then this camera over here also didn't capture anything. And so I have strategic cameras all over the place, right? And it happened to be the day everything was offline, but I guess the core of the experience was that, it's gonna sound so stupid, like the forefathers. But I actually, like, if you read any of my stuff, I talk a lot about the Constitution and the forefathers and Pythagoras, and everything goes back to Pythagoras, right? And my question was, what comes after Pythagoras for a long time? I mean, to me, a long time is what, like a week or something? So that's when I came up with Tesseraeus Trinity equation, which is what has led to the discovery of a whole bunch of other stuff. But basically the forefathers were like, you do have the right to invoke us because because it's time for you to, and it's okay to be that scared and to be that, I guess, whatever I am. So I don't know. They showed me this thing, like a machine, but I always get to see the machines before they happen. That's why I'm always like posting on social media servers, because they're just more credible than even if I go submit papers to like the government offices, because paper is very easy to get rid of, as we've seen. And the stranger stuff was the stuff in the sky. I have a lot of videos. I started going to TikTok instead because at least it gets more exposure, I feel. There was a bright star that just kept getting brighter and brighter, and of course the apps would show the star was just a planet, but there were two moons for sure, if that was just the moon. So anyway, there was the really bright star a few days in a row, and I showed where I was like, this is not normal, and I showed the rest of the sky, and then eventually that star became an orange, what I thought would be a blood moon, but I researched everything. There was no reason for there to be a blood moon here a few days ago, and then yesterday, or 2 days ago, and then yesterday, the city of El Paso posted something saying that it was a sunset with the blood moon look, but to me that looks like radiation has pooled around whatever that object is, which would make sense to me, because to me it looks like, I don't know, there's different names for it, but it's definitely like, I don't know that you could call it a ship. It's like it's a hybrid. I mean, of course I would recognize a hybrid. I mean, if you're Mayan, this is not news that every object has intelligence. That's why I had such a hard time at the GSA, because I was like, well, I need to tell someone some of this stuff, but if you don't have Native American minded people, right? Like, there's not words you can use, and by the time physicists with all of their uppity attitudes like get around to understanding, like, we'll all be dead, so it's like, oh, what do you do, right? So anyway, so then yesterday I recorded another video. I've been religiously recording around 4:30 p.m. between 4:30 and 7 p.m. every day, the sun, because I've already said it, I'm entangled with the sun. We all are. I just happen to know how to access it because I stepped up, and I keep stepping up, and so that's why I prelim padded in Silk Road, and I usually just come back inside and then upload the video, and that's it. But yesterday something like compelled me, and that sounds like The Exorcist, right? But I just don't have other words. And to me, it stopped being scary when I had one of my near-death experiences, all of that, and I can explain why I'm saying like the number 6 is like really important. I'll probably make a separate video, but then what I recorded yesterday in person, it looked like this giant squid in the sky, like a clear, transparent squid, like just traversing the sky, going across the sky. And then I tried to capture it with my phone, but of course my phone wasn't that great. So then I came inside to get binoculars, and when I closed up on it more, it looked like a floating plastic bag. But it was so high in the sky, like there, it would have had to be like this enormous plastic bag, and it just kept floating through. And I caught some of it on this phone, a little bit more of it, but it's very hard to see. And that's just the nature of why I'm making this next series of PDFs called the ET's Blair Witch Project or something like that, because I have so many videos where it's like, look, oh my god, I could have caught something here, and look at, I have a video where it looks like I literally captured like what I think were some of the missing moments in time on my own. But then there's all this plausible deniability stuff. So I thought it was funny at first to use plausible deniability, but now every time that I try to show something, it's like, oh, but it was, but it wasn't. But it'll still make a great little movie. And this is a very long video. I'm still really just heartbroken, I guess. I don't know how to recoup my resources. I think I've sorted it out, but I also have my own life lessons, right? Like, I can't keep putting myself out there and destroying career after career. And especially when, if I did sign up for this, I was a child or a pre-child, and I'm not the one that continues trying to use this technology to hurt people. In fact, the opposite, right? And then people hear what I talk about and assume I'm the devil and I'm the evil one or whatever, or I'm the one talking about Satanism. No, I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying like there's math to this, and you can't go into any of this without first resolving the attachment to what numbers mean, because it requires a lot of precision, because this stuff is really dangerous. And if people just understood that, like, eventually Atlantis did blow itself up, because eventually the interdimensionals, the interspecies, the angels, the demons, like the source, everything, it's all like, fuck it, just let them blow themselves up, because it's going to happen anyway. We might as well just like leverage that moment. And that's what I'm trying to say, is that moment is being leveraged because it's happening anyway, and it's not a surprise, right? And whether or not people want to hear it or not, that's why I've kept myself out of NDAs and deep state. Although people will not believe me, the deep state I go to is much deeper than the deep state, because how else could I have possibly pulled off, if you understand even basic mathematics and the way that the American systems work for assigning like identification, right? How could I possibly have pulled that off? How could I possibly have somehow, when I was 17 years old, never really touching a computer, influenced the algorithms that would then predict that President Trump would be the president, and he would be on Joe Rogan, and somehow it would happen on my birthday, and I would somehow get sucked into government policy work, which I've never done, right? How would the LinkedIn algorithms written by the people who made Palantir, or owned by the people who made Palantir, how would they have found me through a recruiter whose last name is Reagan, who also claims like no responsibility, though of course happily made the money off of the recruitment, right? Is what I keep saying, is like, I feel like people are missing the point that the wars and Hitler and what else, and Satan and the aliens and the military, everyone is pointing fingers. But that's why I created the reverse butterfly algorithm, because at the end of the day, it is Nuremberg all over again. This is the tribulation for each individual to decide, did I contribute to protecting the weak, right? The vulnerable, not the weak, the vulnerable. Did I contribute to protecting those more vulnerable than me? Or was I just my own version of, I don't know what they were called, like the troops, like Hitler's troops, right? Like, did you just follow orders? And if you didn't, right, like, that's great, and nobody is here to judge anybody. I don't judge anybody. I honestly don't give a shit. But like, I am really pissed off that instead of getting to continue to develop technologies that people won't understand, like, they just won't understand it, and I can't keep dropping everything I'm doing to try to catch people up, because it's annoying and I'm not getting paid for any of it. And I just wanted to get to continue to build some of the stuff I prelim patented, right? But the more that this vortex continues to escalate, and most recently with the announcement by, I forgot her name, but she was like, this basically, some people are running into their bunkers. Well, I have so much more information that you're not going to find anywhere. And my thought was, okay, well, if people see that I'm somehow able to go all the way back to President Taft, right, and then align my own lineage, my own information to public-facing government documents that I could not have possibly ever messed with, could not have possibly ever connected back to myself, then people would at least give me a slight bit of credibility that I would have more information than they could possibly understand. And when I used those conservative numbers for the likelihood of life is a simulation and there is intelligent design, right? Those were very conservative numbers. And the fact that I'm able to make it happen, right? And that I'm able to sit here and talk about it, I was like, okay, well, any dummy could understand that. But then I realized like how far behind people are with math. And it's like, oh my God, this is not even really math. This is just like basic, like, to me, like what should be called common sense. But I'm not here to chastise anyone. Like I said, I'm a mercenary. Like I have my own sets of drives, and then I have so many of the what I call spiritual Ouija boards, right? So people basically that make more money than I do as a psychic, right? Than me as an AI architect, right? That like helps massive companies save billions of dollars, right? Like they make more money than me, and somehow they have like all this credibility for stuff that they suppose is correct, and a lot of them are. Like I'm not denying that at all, but what I'm trying to say is I kept myself. I don't want attention. I'm not trying to be an influencer, but the media is next. So let's talk about the media, because we're about to experience Carrington events, and there is so much science behind what I'm trying to say, but I do own it, and it is like booby trapped. It really is, not because I'm doing anything, but because if anybody knew the family I came from, I love them. I still speak to them very regularly, and but they were purposefully selected as the most appropriate for me to learn my lessons quickly, right? I'm not sharing more information and continuing to make myself look like I'm crazy. I'm again, because I didn't appreciate the chemical lobotomies. I've had my fair share of near-death experiences, and I was born dead. But if you go ask my mom, she will conveniently have forgotten that she kept telling me that for a long time. So yeah, I have like dogs to take care of. I would rather be spending my energy helping my dog walk again. Like, so she just needs, so like building like a pneumatic thing to help her little back legs, help her stand up, right? So it's not like I enjoy this at all. I'm not enjoying it at all. It feels gross, and I agree that it's not that it's a burden, because I know that I said I would, but it's disappointing at best. And people don't like to hear that word, and people want to hear all about the happy joy kinds of stuff. Well, I'm happy for my own reasons. Like I have enough to carry me through for a few more months, and I'm really uncomfortable having to not know that I'm gonna be okay in the future myself, right? Because that's why I left myself all of these markers that were undeniable, and why I leave them all over my because I have multiple social media accounts, because I just forget which one I was using, or I'm on the wrong device and it's the wrong one. I'm sure like happy little accidents, that have helped me preserve not getting sucked into one direction or the other. But what I'm trying to say is, if I don't get restitution through the city of El Paso, I think I've sorted it out for myself. But the more that I figure things out for myself, and the more that I see people continually give their power away to influencers and people with credentials and people with military rank right? Like all of the institutions that we are seeing more and more have lied to us. I'm not saying the individuals, I'm saying like how the government, we have seen where contracts are manipulated, where the government lets people hide information, rip up Navy logs describing things. We've seen scientists continually lie about their so-called discoveries. We've seen where even in the pyramids, right, there's like a subset of people that continue to police what is believable, and yet that's still who people go to for information when there is, for example, his name is Yahweh. Where is that man? He was calling in UAPs years ago in Las Vegas on command in broad daylight for a public news station, and they were like, okay, we can't deny that this is really happening, this is true. He didn't need to build an audience. He was a very humble, appearance wise, he looked like a very humble, normal man who was very spiritually connected himself. I don't think he got any money out of it, and I'm still wondering, because I do scan for my familiars, right? Like, where is he? Like, what happened to him? How come nobody's followed up on him? How come he's not the one that's being asked, like, what do we do about these UAPs? Because he was there first. And is it because he doesn't look like what you would expect someone like that to look like? Like, what happened to him? I just want to know. And I know it's recorded on one of my YouTube videos. I don't remember the name of the news station, but I got that video from someone else who I would consider to be one of the familiars, and I don't really know how to have conversations with my voice not sounding so strong, because there's a lot of energy pushing through me, right? Like a lot. And I am not claiming to be anything special, but I'm certainly not unspecial. And I think every single individual had the opportunity to step up. And I know that I heard my guide telling me, the very first clear one was in 4th grade. They're like, you're gonna remember this moment that you knew you were right, and you remember how it feels when you know you're right no matter what everyone around you tells you. And I don't remember what happened. It was like something trivial, but it was as a little kid, so it was like kind of hard to say like, no, this is what really happened. And then knowing in my gut that I was right, and then I was right. And then throughout time, like especially in school, when I would take really hard classes, and I'm dyslexic, and I was almost 40, and I was getting this latest degree, right? Like knowing that I was right, and then I was right. And I just have markers all over the place that I built into a quantum blockchain. I don't care if people don't believe that. Yeah, I have my thesis posted within my prelim patent stuff now, right? Which had to do with post-quantum cryptography. I mean, there's so much, like, it's so hard for me to condense it all. And as you can see, like, I'm here with my dog. I would rather be here with my dog, figuring out how to help the dogs live longer and have better care. I have posted where I've saved myself and my dogs unnecessary surgeries and stuff like that. And I don't know what I would have to do, except that when people tell me, oh, you're drawing it into yourself. Okay, well, I'm in recursion. Recursion means when you're deciding what, like you're picking which side of the, I guess, binary search tree you would pick, right? And when I turned in my homework for binary search trees, I deleted every time that I didn't pick that node, I would delete it. And the TA, very, very competent, incredibly intelligent classmate in CU Boulder, at CU Boulder, he told me, like, I've never seen anybody solve it this way. He's like, you're saying you would just delete all of that? And I was like, yeah, because if I already know that it doesn't have the right answer, why would I even bother to slow down the algorithm, right? To keep carrying that baggage around. I might as well just drop it. And then I actually also increased my speed of when I, like, if I'm running a live website. And I know, that I'm using computer science, but there's just not words unless I could speak to an elder. But even then, I don't know that I would know what to say right now. It's just computer science makes the most sense. But it all comes back down to why I ended up teaching mostly kindergarten for so many years, and I did kindergarten twice, because I was able to see the necessary algorithms for social engineering through media and through assumed control, right? That's necessary for this next phase, and I actually have decided to not be here for what would be considered Native Americans because they didn't step up. Nobody did. I'm just like, oh, I look like a fucking crazy person. So I closed out that. Right, Nishi? Because we got things to do, and I can't stop how fast the planets move or what the sun is doing. I can only make sure that the next experiment, which is nobody's trying to steal anybody's consciousness. It's an experiment to see, can you actually can you actually hold the consciousness for just enough for the existing containers to get their upgrades, right? So their light bodies, and then put the consciousness back into its upgraded light body. That's like a 75,000 year cycle. On May the 7th this year, instead of getting to, hey, can I just finish, please? Thank you. Instead of getting to transmit right back to where I answered to, which is very close to source, no matter what anybody says about me or what I talk about. I was busy filing my own protective orders with my friend who's been there every time, I guess, since I joined the Navy. Because the local police department and the courts and everybody just like did not make it easy, and that's why I'm saying like it's easier to just get killed than get help. And the biggest source of waste, fraud, and abuse has been the local levels, and that's why it goes back to the Nuremberg thing. And this is a very circular, very long-winded video, but I just get overwhelmed with sadness, and I am not gonna self-destruct, right? No matter how much the effort is, I'm kind of over being used as a living guinea pig for a lot of these like DEWs. I thought I could try to get a contract with the Department of Defense, but it's, my God, like you should see the uphill battle. I'm dyslexic. I've already tried doing it through paperwork. I ended up getting robbed of my ideas. Like, whatever, maybe it wasn't even just me. Maybe it was a collective, but it's just too much work. So I'm going to update my website, and this time it is about resources. And I do think that I do have to limit whatever I talk about to people that are willing to pay for it, because that's one of my lessons is people don't appreciate anything that they get for free. And then all of the destruction that I faced because the El Paso Police Department chose to listen to a person who was a criminal, whom was extorting me, specifically my vulnerability, right? And they chose to listen to him instead of me as the homeowner and the person that owns like real estate and has like a super host. Like, I had every reason to be believed, and instead of believing me, they believed the homeless person, which is fine. I've been homeless myself, right? But the fallout from that has been enormous, including if I had been able to keep my job at the GSA, but I didn't because the Border Patrol tried pinning charges on me that were not true, right? Then I lost my access to, and I don't think most people know this, when you're inside of the government, there's like these nodes, right? There's select people that are put into regions that help the regions keep things together when stuff starts to hit the fan. And we just saw that video where it might turn into a all-out nuclear war. I think it's beyond that. It was gonna happen anyway, because I mean, I could go into all that science, but it would have to be some other way. But basically, like, I can tell you that the interdimensionals, the intergalactic, the closest to source, my own opinions is like, let them blow themselves up anyway. It's happening anyway. They've never not done it. So it's just leverage, swapping out the sun and put in a new dimension there, and a different Earth, right? And for the last 1,000 years of the Yuga cycle, like, some will experience that and some will be in that dimension, and they'll figure out how to use the portals, what was it called, Stargate. They'll figure out how to use the physical Stargate instead of like the shortcut Stargate. What I care about is the shortcut Stargate. So when there is the big boom, right? I mean, it's basically like the Big Bang, right? Except people called it to themselves, like, I'm going to the other place where the Mayas are, because that's where I'm most excited about. That's like the shortcut to the Jetsons like future that Mr. Teal described, because I just haven't heard other people talk about it. I'm not going around looking for this information. I know that I designed my algorithms. I have a video where I was like, okay, so it's time to be like a digital pirate, right? So I have another video where I describe at length the way that I designed my algorithm so that they could find me and I could find them, and they're working, or else this stuff wouldn't be coming up in my feed. And now that it's at the cesspool closer to the sinkhole cesspool section, right, is why all this stuff is happening right now. But like I said, I'm not as attached to my physical existence, right? But I also don't want to go around with like one limb. I wish I could help my dog more than I could help anyone right now, because it would help me be in a safe place in my mind. And I guess it's like, how many times do you keep letting yourself look like the crazy person and letting careers fall apart? Do I spend my time working on stuff that wipes out more jobs at faster rates than anyone can comprehend, or let someone else do that? Do I get a job and just pay for myself and only take care of myself? Do I do what the cops and the courts and everyone told me to do, which was build out my own self-protective shields with technology that you're not going to understand, right? Like, you're just not. But I have these like Blair Witch Project looking ET Blair Witch versions, right? Of like, I think it's working, but the radiation coming out of the sun is immense, and the interaction of that with whatever people around the world are doing with chemicals and with subatomic stuff that we don't have words for yet here, right? But that I could draw like would help shed light. But I'm facing so much uphill because there's so many scientists with so many more credentials, and they're so much more popular, right? And I still think that nobody can trump the level of evidence that I have, because cryptographically and statistically speaking, if you're a data scientist, like, you'll understand, like, there's no way I could be fabricating what I'm saying. And if that level of proof is insufficient to people that rely on credentials and titles and popularity over legit, real-time, self-evident truths, then to me those are like baggage. And I don't want the burden of deciding what people do or don't do in their afterlives, right? Like, it's for each individual. Like, you decide, like, did you do the right thing? I don't care what people decide. I mean, okay, I guess I care in the sense that, like, yes, there is this competition amongst some entities, including myself, like who returns the most amount of resources back to source. And so I designed my rapid disclosure social algorithm stuff. That's why I chose psychology, right? That's why I got free rides to medical school, but I chose psychology because I go into the future and I know what I'm looking for. Because I knew that most people would rather just self-terminate. Like, it doesn't require me getting involved in it, but they would self-terminate once they saw why everything they thought was truth is not true, and how most people cannot handle the truth. It's true. So rather than me messing up my karma, I would mess it up more by not sharing the truth and by gatekeeping. But I'm being as transparent as I can, and please understand, this is only June the 20th, 2025. This didn't all come together until around the end of January 2025. But my markers are so distinct and so precise, like, I can't be the douchebag that doesn't speak up, and I won't gatekeep. I don't know that I care about the same things that other people do. I actually don't. But I do want I was promised a semi-normal life. I was supposed to get to be like a pretty average woman, you know, like pretty normal average life, like a good life. And I've never profited off of anything, but I promise you, I have another DJ mix where I stored all this information for myself, and it's called Profit, right? So PROPHET space PROFIT, and that's why I recorded on servers everything I said about graphene, and there's other stuff, and I'm saying stuff about oil, right? And I'm saying stuff about the harmonic encryption and the way that it's going to blow up in people's faces because there's still elements in the sky that are being dropped off by some of these other entities and by the plasma, and it's all real time, so you can't even pretend to be able to say that you know what's going to happen, because I don't think you do. I mean, I haven't seen proof where people actually do. So these are like real-time equations, which was the big difference why I was able to come up with the boring the boring circles notebook that shows like these are equations for real time in the moment, because there is free will, right? So every second that someone is making different decisions, it's like a Plinko game, and the Plinko chips fall in different places, and you have to rapidly be able to understand what's happening in the moment. And that's why I am saying, like, I would not be trying to steal my Silk Road stuff. And yes, I am communicating with entities. Yes, it does have language, and so I'm going to stop focusing on what everyone else is doing, right? In terms of trying to defend myself, and just focus on extracting the language, because there is an intelligent language there. And yes, I am interacting, whether people like it or not, right? Whether people want to hear it or not, whether people want to believe that they all got, what's the word, like, I didn't do anything underhanded, like they actually legit got outperformed by someone who's just more competent and capable, and designed by international, intergenerational agreements for this very moment. So the people in the bunkers, like, there's like information that you're supposed to get, but I'm not going to chase you down. I'm not going to keep looking crazy. I'm just going to set up my website so that you pay me, because my family paid millions in money and in blood, right? How many more of my uncles need to be assassinated? And I know that I'm next, or was next, or whatever. Like, you can't stop what's happening. And whoever thinks they're in the deep state, like, I don't know that you understand what it means when people talk about the ant people and the lizard people and the breatharians and all of that, right? Because it goes beyond the accepted norm. And I'm also not getting paid to be anybody's teacher, but I do really like making little, like, a nursery rhyme sounding that's really creepy, because it is really creepy stuff. It's creepy, but it's hilarious too. If you're in computer science, like, you know, like, we use words like zombies and reap the dead children, and it just means things, right? But it's just terminology. So like the crispy cookies and stuff that some people have heard about, if you travel to Bashar circles, well, I mean, it's really strong radiation, and people are gonna start to, I mean, they already did, right? They already did start to launch these weapons that make them crispy, nice and crispy. What do you want me to say, right? I'm not the one doing anything. I'm just here, like, documenting because I also am supposed to be documenting stuff in this way, because people wanted to know, what does it mean when we go through the missing link stuff, right? So this is what I'm doing, and I've been posting about this for about 2 years. You can see it in some of my YouTube videos. Right? Like, I knew that we were the missing link a while ago. And the fact that I didn't become an influencer is by design. Like, micro influencers actually do better than regular influencers. And I have, like, a chance at a semi-normal life. I just want, basically, like, I guess, just to be left alone, and the people that are designed, I guess, to get other information from me, like, I'm just gonna do what everybody else does and just, like, bail the hell out of it. And you know, like, I'm not gonna make Silk Road like some type of free thing. I'm probably not gonna get the ham radio license, because for what? It's gonna turn into me having to prove myself to a bunch of douchebags that need status and power, and I don't look like any of that, right? I don't, and I do still want a vertical facelift and help for my dog and a nicer car, and for my houses to be paid off, because I do feel like I know that I have tons of data showing how the mortgage companies have been ripping me off, and if they're doing it to me, they're doing it to everybody. And, you know, I can't be Erin Brockovich. I would rather die than live like that, or like Sarah Connor. So I'm not going to chase people down. So far, I've done just fine on my own. I didn't acquire any of my real estate or anything like that through divorces or by, by being more clever than anyone or exploiting knowledge or contracts or doing dark things and hiding behind NDAs and claiming I was doing it for my family, to feed my family. But this is the Great Reset. Like, this vortex is a new one, so it is like new teams, new rules, new games. So yeah, like whatever you see in the media from this day forward, for me, right now, it has an agenda, many agendas, but I didn't find anyone that could really keep up. Right? And I don't know how else to say it. I'm not gonna. I get to just move on now, and just leave the trail, right? I don't foresee it not ending in some type of nuclear holocaust for everyone. I don't foresee the world not blowing up, but there's other dimensions with like the other Earths, and don't worry about the sun burning out. Like it gets swapped out. This is like very routine, right? That was the purpose of the harmonic cryptography keys that NOAA and NASA continue to hoard, even though they pay themselves very nice wages with all of our tax dollars. It was just to like make sure that all of the stuff was in alignment, so it could just be like a blip, right? Like, so people wouldn't even know unless they wanted to, and then everyone was gonna wake up the next day and everything was gonna be fine. But the more that I get strangulated, is that the word? Strangled? Just like the murder attempt last summer, right? And Airbnb has a lot of stuff to answer to, and I've tried to find lawyers. I can't, so I'm going to try arbitration. But in the meantime, I will continue to post ridiculously obvious, lazy attempts at doing some stuff that I think is really shady. But Airbnb, I get it. You probably have bots or your own version of horrible people that don't understand bigger pictures. But I gotta keep going, right? It's restitution, not retribution. That's all I'm saying. And I can't stop what's happening. I'm just recording it because I'm supposed to, because it's like a digital Noah's Ark. And I do have a post that I put under one of Elon Musk's many X platform things, right, where it explains it in sing-songy ways. Anyway, bye.